New Mexico, a land painted with vast desert landscapes, towering mesas, and ancient adobe structures, holds a unique allure that transcends its breathtaking beauty. Beneath its sun-scorched surface lies a tapestry woven with centuries of history, culture, and the supernatural. This is a place where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms blur, where whispers of the past echo through time, and where shadows seem to move with a life of their own. Welcome back to our haunted storytelling series, where we delve into the eerie unknown, and today, we embark on Episode 5, The Most Haunted Places in New Mexico. From Native American legends passed down through generations to the chilling tales of Spanish conquistadors and Wild West outlaws, New Mexico's haunted locations are steeped in stories that defy explanation. These places are not mere relics of history, they are living, breathing entities that continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore them. Whether it's the ghostly apparitions wandering abandoned mines, the disembodied voices echoing in historic hotels, or the unexplained phenomena lurking in sacred ruins, each site offers a glimpse into a world where the dead refuse to rest. In this episode, we'll journey through some of New Mexico's most infamous haunted locales, uncovering the dark secrets and spectral inhabitants that make them so compelling. We'll hear first-hand accounts from locals who have witnessed inexplicable events, delve into historical records that paint a grim picture of tragedy and loss, and examine evidence collected by paranormal investigators brave enough to spend nights within these haunted grounds. Some of these places have become legendary for their hauntings, drawing thrill-seekers and skeptics alike, while others remain hidden gems, known only to those willing to venture off the beaten path. As you settle in for this spine-tingling exploration, prepare yourself for an odyssey into the heart of New Mexico's supernatural landscape. This isn't just another ghost story, it's a descent into a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and where the spirits of those left behind refuse to fade into oblivion. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and let us guide you through the haunting legacy of New Mexico's most mysterious places. Are you ready to face what lies beyond the veil? The ghosts of Fort Union. A haunting legacy of war and despair. Nestled amidst the rolling prairies of northeastern New Mexico lies the remnants of Fort Union, a once mighty military outpost that served as a critical hub during the turbulent era of westward expansion. Established in 1851, the fort played a pivotal role in protecting settlers, safeguarding supply lines, and defending against raids by Native American tribes. Yet, beneath its storied history of valor and resilience lurks a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, despair, and the restless spirits of those who met untimely ends within its weathered walls. One of the most harrowing chapters in Fort Union's history revolves around the Civil War skirmishes that erupted across the region. As Confederate forces pushed northward, the fort became a battleground, witnessing fierce clashes between Union soldiers and rebel invaders. Historical accounts describe scenes of chaos and carnage, with bodies strewn across the landscape and makeshift field hospitals overflowing with casualties. Many soldiers succumbed to their wounds under primitive conditions, their final moments marked by agony and fear. Today, visitors to the fort report hearing faint echoes of cannon fire and musket shots reverberating through the empty fields, accompanied by anguished cries that seem to rise from the earth itself. Beyond the scars of war, Fort Union harbors tales of personal tragedy that linger like shadows over its ruins. One particularly haunting story involves Private Samuel Hargrove, a young soldier stationed at the fort in the late 1860s. Records indicate that Hargrove was court-martialed for insubordination after allegedly stealing food supplies intended for his comrades. Sentenced to hard labor, he was confined to a cramped, windowless cell deep within the fort's stone barracks. Witnesses claimed to hear muffled screams emanating from the cell at night, growing louder and more desperate as days passed. When guards finally opened the door weeks later, they found Hargrove dead, his emaciated body curled into a fetal position. Modern-day visitors recount feeling an overwhelming sense of dread near the barracks, often describing sensations of being watched or touched by unseen hands. Some have even reported seeing a gaunt figure pacing anxiously outside the ruins, his hollow eyes reflecting anguish. The fort's hospital ward adds another layer of spectral intrigue. During its operational years, the infirmary treated countless soldiers suffering from injuries, illness, and exposure. However, Inadequate medical resources and unsanitary conditions led to high mortality rates, leaving many patients to die alone and forgotten. Paranormal investigators exploring the site have captured chilling EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings of disembodied voices pleading for help or whispering fragmented phrases like, "Make it stop," and "I can't breathe." Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant cold spots concentrated near specific areas, suggesting the presence of residual energy tied to individual tragedies. One particularly unnerving discovery involved a team member who swore he saw a translucent figure lying motionless on a rusted cot, its chest rising and falling as though still struggling to draw breath before vanishing without explanation. Adding to the fort's sinister reputation is the legend of the Lady in White, a mysterious apparition said to wander the grounds at dusk. Local lore suggests she may have been the wife of an officer stationed at the fort, driven to madness by grief after losing her child to illness. Witnesses described seeing a pale woman dressed in flowing white garments gliding silently through the ruins, her expression one of sorrowful longing. Others claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, accompanied by the faint scent of lavender, a fragrance believed to have been popular among women of the era. One visitor recounted waking up in the middle of the night to find the lady standing at the foot of his sleeping bag, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. When he attempted to speak to her, she vanished into thin air, leaving behind an oppressive sense of dread. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted legacy, Fort Union remains a magnet for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its crumbling walls and abandoned structures offer a tangible connection to the past, inviting visitors to step back in time and confront the ghosts of America's tumultuous frontier era. For those brave enough to spend the night, the possibility of encountering one of its tormented spirits adds an element of fascination and terror. Yet, as each new adventurer steps onto the grounds, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The haunting of La Posada de Santa Fe, ghosts among the adobe walls tucked away in the heart of Santa Fe, New Mexico, lies La Posada de Santa Fe, a historic hotel that seamlessly blends old-world charm with modern luxury. Once a private residence built in the late 19th century, this sprawling adobe estate has welcomed guests ranging from artists and writers to politicians and Hollywood elites. But beneath its elegant facade and serene courtyards lies a darker history, one steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and the lingering presence of restless spirits. Known locally as one of the most haunted hotels in the state, La Posada serves as both a sanctuary for travelers and a spectral stage where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The origins of La Posada's haunting trace back to its original owner, Julia Staub, a woman whose life reads like a tragic novel plucked from the pages of Gothic literature. Born into wealth and privilege, Julia married Abraham Staub, a successful Jewish merchant, and together they raised 7 children in opulent splendor. However, her idyllic existence unraveled when Abraham allegedly took a mistress, shattering Julia's trust and plunging her into a deep depression. Over time, her mental health deteriorated, leading to increasingly erratic behavior. Locals whispered about her reclusive tendencies, claiming she spent hours locked away in her room, scribbling cryptic messages on the walls or staring blankly out the window. Her condition worsened until her death in 1896, officially ruled natural causes but rumored to involve suicide. Julia's spirit is said to linger throughout La Posada, manifesting in ways that range from subtle to startling. Guests staying in rooms believed to have once belonged to her frequently report strange occurrences. Lights flickering without cause, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the faint scent of roses wafting through the air, a nod to her favorite flower. Many describe hearing soft footsteps pacing outside their doors late at night, only to find no one in the hallway when they investigate. Some even claim to see a woman in Victorian attire gazing wistfully out of windows, her reflection visible in mirrors despite the absence of anyone else in the room. One particularly chilling account involves a couple who woke up to find Julia standing at the foot of their bed, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. When they tried to speak to her, she dissolved into thin air, leaving behind an oppressive sense of sadness. Another prominent figure in La Posada's haunted lore is believed to be a young servant girl named Maria, who worked for the Staub family during the early 20th century. According to local legend, Maria fell victim to a jealous lover who murdered her in a fit of rage. Her body was discovered in the basement laundry area, and though her killer was eventually apprehended, Maria's spirit reportedly remains trapped within the hotel. Staff members tasked with cleaning the lower levels often complain of feeling an inexplicable chill, accompanied by the sound of fabric rustling violently in the dead of night. Disembodied whispers pleading for help have been recorded during overnight investigations, while thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops near the old laundry facilities. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. Even the hotel's picturesque gardens are not immune to the supernatural. Visitors strolling through the courtyard have reported hearing faint piano music drifting through the air, despite the absence of any instrument nearby. Others describe seeing a young boy playing tag among the rose bushes, giggling softly before vanishing into thin air. This spectral child is thought to be one of Julia Staub's sons, who tragically died at a young age. His playful energy contrasts sharply with the somber atmosphere permeating other parts of the property, offering a poignant reminder of lives cut short too soon. Paranormal investigators exploring La Posada have captured compelling evidence of its spectral inhabitants. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the former master bedroom and basement. Audio recordings picked up during overnight sessions include faint voices muttering indistinct phrases, interspersed with mournful cries. Perhaps the most disturbing discovery came when a team member accidentally activated an old chandelier, illuminating the dining hall just long enough to reveal a transparent figure sitting at the head of the table, her eyes gleaming with manic intensity before she disappeared into thin air. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, La Posada de Santa Fe continues to attract curious souls eager to immerse themselves in its macabre charm. For those brave enough to book a stay, the promise of encountering Julia, Maria, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of both fascination and dread. Yet, as each new guest steps across its threshold, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the consequences of La Posada's haunted legacy? Or will they become another chapter in its spectral saga? The mysterious mines of Madrid, echoes from below nestled in the shadow of the Sandia Mountains. The ghost town of Madrid, New Mexico, stands as a haunting relic of the state's mining boom. Once a thriving coal mining community in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Madrid was home to thousands of workers who braved perilous conditions underground to extract the precious resource fueling the burgeoning railroad industry. However, beneath its rugged exterior and dilapidated structures lies a labyrinth of tunnels and shafts that harbor chilling tales of tragedy, despair, and the supernatural. These mines, now silent and abandoned, serve as a grim reminder of the human cost of progress, and a hotspot for paranormal activity. One of the most infamous incidents tied to Madrid's mines occurred in 1913, when a catastrophic explosion ripped through the main tunnel system, killing dozens of miners instantly. The blast was attributed to a buildup of methane gas, exacerbated by poor ventilation and lax safety protocols. Survivors spoke of hearing the deafening roar followed by an eerie silence, broken only by the groans of injured men trapped beneath collapsed beams. Rescue efforts were slow and disorganized, leaving many victims to perish in darkness, their cries for help unanswered. To this day, visitors exploring the mines report hearing faint echoes of explosions and anguished screams, as though the disaster continues to unfold in an endless loop. Some claim to feel tremors beneath their feet, accompanied by the acrid smell of smoke and burnt coal. Adding to the mine's haunted reputation is the legend of the Watchman, a spectral figure believed to be the ghost of a former foreman named Thomas Greaves. Tasked with ensuring the safety of his crew, Greaves allegedly neglected critical maintenance tasks due to pressure from higher-ups to meet production quotas. When the fatal explosion occurred, guilt consumed him, driving him to take his own life by jumping into one of the deepest shafts. Since then, miners and explorers alike have reported seeing a tall, gaunt man clad in dusty overalls patrolling the tunnels, his lantern casting flickering shadows on the walls. Those who encounter him describe feelings of being watched or followed, often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature. One particularly unnerving account involves a spelunker who swore he saw Greaves standing inches away, his hollow eyes reflecting anguish before he vanished into thin air. The mines also harbor tales of lost souls still searching for escape. Historical records indicate that numerous workers went missing during shifts, their bodies never recovered. Locals believe these unfortunate individuals became disoriented in the maze-like passages, succumbing to starvation, dehydration, or toxic gases. Modern-day adventurers navigating the tunnels often report hearing faint footsteps trailing behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Others claim to see glowing eyes peering from the darkness, watching silently before vanishing without a sound. A particularly unsettling encounter occurred when a group of urban explorers became disoriented and found themselves walking in circles, unable to locate the exit. Panic set in as the temperature plummeted, and disembodied whispers urged them to stay with us. Further into the depths of the mine sits an abandoned equipment room, a cavernous space dominated by rusted machinery now silent and covered in grime. This area earned infamy during the mine's operational years due to a series of accidents involving malfunctioning drills and conveyor belts that claimed numerous lives. Today, those who dare to enter the equipment room describe waves of intense heat washing over them, even though the machines have long ceased functioning. Ghostly figures resembling scorched victims are said to wander aimlessly, their charred faces twisted in eternal agony. Some visitors swear they can smell smoke and hear the crackle of flames, as though fires rage on in some parallel dimension. Another spine-chilling aspect of the mines is the network of vertical shafts connecting various levels. Originally designed for transporting ore carts and workers efficiently, these narrow passageways have become breeding grounds for paranoia and dread. Explorers navigating the shafts often report hearing the faint scrape of metal against rock, followed by guttural groans that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves. One investigator claimed to see a pale, translucent figure lying prone on one of the platforms, its chest cavity splayed open as though mid-procedure, before it dissolved into thin air. Another team member reported seeing shadowy appendages extending from the ceiling, manipulating invisible tools with surgical precision. Despite, or perhaps because of, its ominous reputation, the mines continue to draw curious souls eager to confront its malevolent energies. Urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers descend into its bowels, armed with cameras, recording devices, and nerves of steel. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The enchanted mesa, a sacred ground turned spectral stage rising dramatically above the surrounding desert landscape, the enchanted mesa stands as one of New Mexico's most iconic natural formations. A towering sandstone monolith steeped in myth, legend, and the supernatural. Revered by Native American tribes for centuries as a sacred site, the mesa has long been considered a bridge between the earthly realm and the spirit world. Yet beneath its majestic silhouette lies a darker narrative, one intertwined with tragedy, betrayal, and the restless spirits of those who dared to disturb its sanctity. This sacred ground, once a place of reverence and ritual, has become a spectral stage where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The origins of the enchanted mesa's haunting are deeply rooted in Native American folklore. According to Acoma Pueblo traditions, the mesa was once home to their ancestors, who lived atop its windswept summit in harmony with nature and the divine. However, a catastrophic landslide severed access to the mesa, forcing survivors to relocate to lower ground. Elders speak of a curse placed upon the mesa by a vengeful shaman angered by the tribe's departure, warning that those who defile its sanctity would awaken the wrath of ancestral spirits. Over time, tales emerged of shadowy figures roaming the mesa at dusk, their silhouettes illuminated by lightning strikes during thunderstorms. These apparitions were said to be the guardians of the mesa, tasked with protecting its secrets and punishing trespassers. One of the most harrowing accounts tied to the enchanted mesa involves a group of treasure hunters who ventured onto the sacred land in search of rumored gold deposits. Ignoring warnings from local elders, they began excavating near ancient petroglyphs etched into the sandstone cliffs. Witnesses claimed to see the sky darken abruptly as if a storm had rolled in, accompanied by the sound of distant drumbeats echoing through the canyon below. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind swept through the area, scattering tools and knocking several members off balance. One hunter swore he felt an icy hand grasp his ankle, pulling him toward the edge of the cliff before releasing him abruptly. Terrified, the group fled, only to discover later that their maps and compasses had been rendered useless, forcing them to navigate blindly back to safety. Paranormal investigators exploring the mesa have captured compelling evidence of its spectral inhabitants. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant cold spots concentrated near specific petroglyphs, suggesting the presence of residual energy tied to ceremonial practices performed centuries ago. Audio recordings picked up during overnight sessions include faint chants and rhythmic drumming, interspersed with mournful cries. Perhaps the most disturbing discovery came when a team member accidentally activated an old headlamp, illuminating the cliffside just long enough to reveal a series of translucent figures standing motionless along the ridge, their faces obscured by shadowy veils before dissolving into thin air. Adding to the mesa's sinister reputation is the legend of the Wailing Woman, a mysterious apparition said to haunt the base of the formation. Local lore suggests she may have been a young maiden betrayed by her lover, driven to madness by grief after leaping from the summit to her death. Witnesses described seeing a pale woman dressed in flowing white garments gliding silently through the brush, her expression one of sorrowful longing. Others claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, accompanied by the faint scent of sage, a fragrance believed to have been used in purification rituals. One visitor recounted waking up in the middle of the night to find the Wailing Woman standing at the foot of his sleeping bag, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. When he attempted to speak to her, she vanished into thin air, leaving behind an oppressive sense of dread. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted legacy, the enchanted mesa remains a magnet for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rugged terrain and breathtaking vistas offer a tangible connection to the past, inviting visitors to step back in time and confront the ghosts of America's indigenous heritage. For those brave enough to spend the night, the possibility of encountering one of its tormented spirits adds an element of fascination and terror. Yet, as each new adventurer steps onto the grounds, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. Comparing hauntings in New Mexico when examining New Mexico's most haunted places, including the Enchanted Mesa, Fort Union, La Posada de Santa Fe, and the mines of Madrid. Striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the spectral guardians of sacred sites to the restless spirits of miners and soldiers, these places share commonalities that bind them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the betrayed lovers haunting La Posada, the miners trapped in Madrid's tunnels, or the ancestral spirits protecting the enchanted mesa, these entities seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture and geography in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings like La Posada, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. Similarly, the claustrophobic tunnels of Madrid's mines and the towering cliffs of the Enchanted Mesa trap emotions such as anger, despair, and regret within their confines. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: bedrooms where relationships ended, tunnels where lives were lost, or cliffs where rituals were performed. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing visitors to confront the unknown. The use of natural elements, wind, lightning, and shadows, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal working conditions of miners embedded in the DNA of Madrid's tunnels contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized at La Posada. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, New Mexico's haunted places transform from mere locations into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each site boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These locations, whether they are abandoned mines, historic hotels, or sacred mesas, tap into primal instincts and cultural narratives that resonate deeply within us. They serve as liminal spaces, thresholds between worlds, where the boundaries of reality blur, and where we confront not only external threats but also the ghosts within ourselves. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two realms. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, past and present, the seen and the unseen. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They remind us that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. As we bring this chilling journey through New Mexico's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of New Mexico's haunted places yourself. Walk the same trails where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken sites offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of centuries-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing?